Oh man, oh man, oh man, it never stopped. So while the GNU was threatening to fall apart, the CEOs of Anglo American and Discovery wrote a letter to President Ramaphosa and Minister Steenhuisen to say, guys, please don't break the GNU. And so we are gonna hear both of them in this video, but then there is a shocking, amazing request for education, and then we're gonna react to that and answer it. And please stay to the end, because at the end of this I give a biblical reaction that wraps it all up and is gonna be mind-blowing for you, and you will understand what's going on in our country. You'll be able to tell anybody why we have an unemployment problem. If you're ready, press like. Let's hear how President Ramaphosa, when he was asked about the letter from business, this is what he said.
A number of business people have written a letter to both myself and John Steenhuisen, the leader of the Democratic Alliance. And I can say that business does not dictate what happens. One in government does not dictate what happens in the ANC that I lead. We take our own decisions based on our considerations of everything that will advance the interests of our people. But of course, like any other citizen, they are entitled, as any citizen is entitled, to express their views, their wishes, and their fears. And all of us here as South Africans, we have views and fears and aspirations. So they too are entitled to do so. But in the end, I want it to be clear that the ANC will not be influenced by what business says. We are principally influenced by what our people say. And so we are not under pressure from business or whoever. If we are under any pressure, it is pressure that comes from our people, and our people as a whole, not only ANC members. And the pressure that comes from our people is about poverty, it's about inequality and unemployment. And those are the issues that influence our decisions. And so therefore we have to heed what our people are saying. As regards what is happening.
Okay, so all right, so we're gonna go and hear when they asked Okay, so the letter from business was not written by people, and if it was written by people, at maximum they are citizens, but they are certainly not our people. Okay, so I don't know who his people are, because he's president of the country. I thought we are all his people, but clearly there's some our people somewhere. Okay, so then Steenhuisen was asked as well.
I did receive a letter from business people who are rightly concerned about the future of the country, because the other options on the table are very difficult options. There could be a minority government, which will then live from parliamentary sitting to parliamentary sitting, and every single item on the order paper will become like the fiscal framework was, where there will be horse trading and uncertainty about whether there is a majority. That's no way to run a government. And so we need to make sure that whatever we're doing, it's to make sure that we're acting in the best interest of the country. And I have no doubt that the federal executive, when it applies its mind, obviously waiting to see the events or how events unfold, the federal executive will make that decision at the appropriate time, and then we, as the persons in government, will deploy that. So I can't answer your question whether we're in or out yet. At this stage, we're waiting to see how things unfold. But we did receive a letter from business, indeed, and I think we've seen the market's reaction to a government without the DA. A trillion rand wiped off the JSE just as a result of a market reaction to a potential that the DA would no longer be in government. And so I do think that careful thought needs to be given to the next steps, and that cool heads need to prevail. And I think that we need to sit down rationally and try and find a way through this. But that can only happen if there is a genuine commitment to power sharing. And I think that is very important.
These two people will never hear each other. This one's like, the business did crash. And I know on the other side, they're hearing like, you are threatening us. Like, okay, so anyway. So now let me play you the request for education. Samkele Maseko, a deployee of the ANC, and one of the most talented media people, and an expert, actually. No one knows the ANC more than him. He's brilliant. You listen to him, he'll tell you their middle names. He's just close to their ID numbers. But he raises something very important, and then I'm gonna answer it. And listen, don't get mad when I'm answering. You pause your judgment until I get to the end, and you give me grace that I need to keep this video short. So I'm just gonna boom, boom, boom. If you have a question, ask me at the bottom. Let's talk about it. So Samkele Maseko, go for it. Tell us what was happening at this time.
The president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, yesterday effectively saying that cool heads, calm heads must come together to examine and apply their theoretical and ideological views, particularly when it comes to the posture of the Democratic Alliance that has defined itself outside of the government of national unity, and that the business cannot dictate to the ANC or influence the ANC in one so way or another, and knowing that the business is not elected, it is public representatives that are elected that will decide the political trajectory of the country, and business should effectively stay in its lane.
Do we know who this big business is that's said to have written to the Democratic Alliance?
Yesterday, and also President of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, but he spoke to them as big business. He did not divulge any of their names or any of these big conglomerates that may have written to him. It's not yet clear who they are, but they are seemingly betting for the government of national unity to remain as it is, and for the DA to stay in this GNU, because they say that if the DA should leave, it would be catastrophic for the South African economy. One wonders, and many questions have been posed, why is this economy and this rand so factional towards the Democratic Alliance? Each time the DA is unhappy, the rand seems to sneeze as well.
And
so let's answer that question. Why is the rand factional and it seems to be on the side of the DA? So let's answer it. It's not because they're white. There we go. Video closed. It's not because their leader is white. I hate calling the DA a white party because I will not help the psychological genocide of so many talented black people in the DA. Okay, so it's not because their leader's white or their chairperson's white. I'll tell you why the rand seems to want to keep the DA. Because the DA is more business friendly than the ANC. So if you are business friendly, then investors will hope that you are around because you'll be able to grow the economy. So the ANC sees business as a necessary evil. The DA sees business as good. The PA, when they're not selling out because of GNU politics, sees business as good. The EFF sees business as evil. The IFP sees business as good. The MK sees business as evil. You following? The black parties see business as evil. I've got to put it in thingies. But they are black parties because everyone's black. Okay. They see business as evil. At least the ANC kind of sees it as a necessary evil on your way to swallow it up and make it owned by the revolution. That is the National Democratic Revolution strategy. Now, the business and investors do like the DA more than the ANC, even if you saw the two responses. Steenhuisen just speaks like, no, they wrote the letter, it's not a problem. Ramaphosa has to reassure his people that he's not in with this evil thing. And it's not even like something fishy happened. It's a letter based on what, on reasonable things. They're not asking for a bribe. It's nothing like that. But he has to say, not our people. The DA and any party that are not Marxists, they think business people are also their people. And their philosophy, if you actually see what they stand for, and the old Action SA before somebody fell on their head or something happened or struck by, I don't know what happened, but they also see business as good. So that's why, let's go to the stats of South Africa made by the South African government, done by the ANC-led government before. Look at the unemployment. Where is the lowest unemployment? I know deployees immediately want to talk about Khayelitsha. But still, if you stay in Khayelitsha, where are you most likely to get a job when you stay in Khayelitsha or Alexander? Let's look at facts. Emotions later. Northwest, ANC stronghold, 41% unemployment. Expanded, 52. Free State, ANC stronghold, 37, expanded 44 unemployment. Eastern Cape, ANC stronghold, 36% unemployment, 47% with the expanded way. Mpumalanga, pretty much ANC MK stronghold, high unemployment. Gauteng, slightly lower. It's also where the ANC is kind of weak and they're on a knife's edge. And there's the South Africa average. But you go all the way down, Western Cape province, unemployment, 19%. Half of Northwest, half of Free State, half of Western Cape. Way below the national average. Why? It's not because they're white and white people are working together. It's because of their philosophy when it comes to business. If you gave the PA a province on their own, the same thing, a similar thing would happen up to in a certain way. If you gave the Freedom Front their own place, a similar thing would happen. If you go check just the economy of Orania, you'll find it does well. It's not because they're Afrikaners. It's because they're business friendly. That's why. Their philosophy is business is good. How can we serve you guys so that you can employ our people? They consider themselves servants, not slaves of business, but servants of business, because they realize business is good. I actually spoke about it in the video that you can find at the top or the bottom after this. So that's why it's got a name. It's called business friendliness. Now look here. Look at the ease of doing business across countries. Countries where it's easy to do business. What does it mean? It means the governments consider themselves, first of all, they consider business people as one of our people. They don't separate them. Number two, they think of them as, how do we serve you to make it easy for you to do business, because you will employ our people. And anytime that's the philosophy of a government, people get employed and everybody does better. Look at these countries. Now, all of the, if you take the top 10 we're going to find there, there's really no poverty if you use South African standards. And their unemployment sort of plays between 2%. They think it's a mess when they reach 5% unemployment. Okay, look at it. Ease of doing business rank. New Zealand is number 1. They're not rich by mistake. Singapore's number 2. No mistake. Hong Kong. Why does it have beautiful buildings? It's friendly to business. Denmark is number 4. Korea, and that's South Korea where we get Samsung and Daewoo. United States is number 6. That's why they have more money than us. Georgia, the economy has been booming since they left the the Soviet Union. They're rocking. Norway, I think, are the happiest people in the world on the happiness index. Sweden, Lithuania. Wait, when am I seeing any African country? You're not seeing any because they're not friendly to business. They consider it an enemy because most of them think like Marxists. Okay, so let's go down and see if we find one. The most business-friendly country in Africa is only number 38 in the world, right there. Rwanda, number 38. That's why the economy is growing like crazy. Okay, well, let's go find South Africa. Let me save you time. Here's South Africa, number 84. What does that mean? It means the attitudes of the government are not friendly to business. Every time you hear this revolution, our people, the black majority, the white minority, you know, it will end up with the white monopoly capital. See, and then at least the ANC thinks they are a necessary evil. The DA thinks business is good and we should police them not to do wrong, but we must make it as easy as possible for them to do business. ANC, when they pass, okay, let's go. When they pass laws, they don't think, is this friendly to business? They think, is this friendly to our revolution? So they don't think of themselves as serving business and business people being our people. Look, let's show you how things have changed. So there's stuff that goes into that, like making it easy to start a business, to deal with permits, with electricity, registering property. So expropriation without compensation is the most violent thing you can do against business. So that number 84 was in 2020. I imagine right now we're probably at about number 100. Oh, but you don't understand our history. Our history never respects principles. History, like gravity, doesn't respect principles. Let me show you this. Look at that. If you go to the right from 2006, you come all the way to 2020, right? New Zealand was number 1 in 2006. They dropped to number 3 by 2012. They got back to number 1. To do business is very easy. Let's go down to number 84. See South Africa. There's South Africa. In 2006, we were 28 in the world. 1994, we were even more business friendly. That's why we had jobs. That's why unemployment goes up as business friendliness goes down. So simple. No matter what the colonialists and imperialists do, if you are friendly to your own people, everybody gets wealthy. Look at this. 2006, we were number 28. And then we dropped down halfway there. We were 39, 43, 73, 74, 82, 84. By 2020, we were number 84. What happened to unemployment in that same time? It went up. What happened to economic growth in that same time? It went down. Let me show you something shocking. Try not to cry. Look at this. The darker the spot, the harder it is to do business. Where is it hardest to do business? In Africa. No, it's the imperialists oppressing us. No, it's you, government, you, African government, oppressing your entrepreneurial people in your own population. Numbers don't lie. Yeah, but we hate America. We go with BRICS. Okay, let's check. China, there's Russia. They're number 29. That's why they're richer than us. They're not a super rich country, but they're richer than us. Let's go to China. They are number 32. Yeah? India. Why are they growing at 10% per annum? They're number 62. India came out of 50 years of their ANC type, and Narendra Modi is a business-friendly guy. So finally, when they got rid of their comrades, literally the INC, right? As soon as they got rid of their comrades, they were much less business-friendly. They were busy with the revolution. Narendra Modi came in. Everything he's doing is to move them up in business friendliness. They are growing at 10% per annum. They're bringing people out of poverty at a fast pace. Brazil, not so good, but they're number 124. They're worse than us. And then we're right here at 84. I can tell you now, after expropriation, we're probably about number 124. Because telling me that if I invest, I could lose it is very unfriendly. That is not the action of a friend. Got it? So that's why the market seems to be factional. And it's not to the party with a white person, it's to the party with a business-friendlier philosophy. And because the DA is the largest of business-friendly parties, every investor is looking at them because they are friendly to them. That was good. Let me close with my biblical reaction. Look at this. You know the story about the man who went on a journey, called his servants, and he gave some wealth to them. So this is an investor. He gave 10 to one, he gave 5 to the other, he gave 2 to the other after a long time. So this is an investor, right? Someone who's going to put money, go away, come back after a long time and hope for more. The man who got 10, who got 5, had grown it. He had doubled it. The man, and he said, well done, and he gave him more. The man with 2 had doubled it. He got more. The man who had 1, what happened? He said, Master, see, he considers himself as serving the investor. Let me show you what Marxists, neo-Marxist governments, this is their attitude. I knew that you are a hard man. They always consider investors as people of wicked character. If you ring that bell, I'm going to say something controversial now. Investors are actually people of higher character. Because if you give $1 million to a comrade and $1 million to an investor, the investor will put that $1 million towards jobs. The comrade will take a trip to Dubai. They'll buy Gucci shoes, Louis Vuitton shoes, and a Louis Vuitton bag, and throw a party and drink Louis Vuitton alcohol, while the investor is sitting with cheaper shoes because that same money, he's put it somewhere where it's being put to use to create jobs, to grow the economy, to get things done. And by the time he gets it back doubled, He gets it back after putting people through, that money has put people through varsity, has trained people, has given people dignity, to not get a check for free, to not live in a house that another man built for them. Yes, I spat. So he says, you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown. You are an exploiter. Marxist thinking. If anyone has invested money and made profits, they exploited. That's what he says. Unproductive. And gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I went away and hid it, and I didn't do anything with your investment. And then he says what? You wicked and lazy. See, countries that, when a country doesn't have a growing economy, it's because they are wicked and lazy. And usually they hide behind playing victim about what happened before 1994. Even when they are now in power, like you're president of a country and you're crying, you are wicked and lazy. Grow the economy, grow the investment. So investment runs away from this type of thinking. And then he says this, take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. One of the silly things people say in South Africa is, yeah, the white people can go. Listen, the only difference is I'm talking because I'm not scared of you. You're going to call me a sellout, and I'm going to call myself the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. So I'm cool to tell you. But all the black people who understand this, you know what they do? They sit quietly. Black business people, they just go quiet. They say nothing because they know that your punishment, especially black people, against a black person is more brutal than your punishment against white people. So the black business people who understand this, they just sit there quietly, move their money out of the country quietly, and say nothing. So many people talk about, yeah, they can go, these whites. Listen, you foolish man. You're a foolish man. Since 2019, more black people have been leaving South Africa than white people. And guess what kind of black people have been leaving? The smartest, most talented, most dynamic. Do you know who stays and listens to this garbage? The fools who have nothing to do for you. They've got no business they can build. They've got nothing with sense. All the angry, resentful, bitter, envious ones stay behind. Why? Because take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. Where do they go to? They go to the Netherlands. They go to the US. They go to Europe. They go to New Zealand. They're everywhere. The smartest people that South Africa produces run away. Why? And where do they go? They go to the same countries that have a better philosophy towards business. And someone says, oh, that's so unfair. I know, but it's a spiritual principle. Here's a spiritual principle. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even the little that he has will be taken from them. So, you saw how dark Africa is? You listen to all those Marxists saying, yeah, this because they steal our rocks. And no. That's how dumb you are. You think your biggest wealth is the rocks. No, silly. It's the brains of your people. And guess what? That's your biggest export. that's keeping Africa broke. And South Africa, for you as believers, here's the thing as I close. No man can serve two masters. Either he'll love the one and hate the other, or he'll disrespect the one and respect the other. You cannot serve God and Karl Marx. All right, I said it quick, and at some point it was tight, but it was right. So let me hear you in the comments below, and ding, ding, ring that bell. And I'll catch you on the next one. So let's make history together. Ayingitshelile noma ngathini ngitshelile.